Hi, I'm Josh Lambert, a group product manager here at GitLab, and today I'll talk about the features and changes that the memory team is working on for our 13.1 release, which will be arriving on June 22nd. You can see here our overall team board, and we have a number of items here on the 13.1 list that we'll be working on. We'll also likely have a couple of these things in 13.0 that don't quite get done, so you can expect a couple of these to carry over. So keep that in mind, but today we'll focus on the net new items here, 13.1, that we have a high priority on in completing this milestone. The first three, as you can see, are improving the performance of certain endpoints, certain backend endpoints of the GitLab application. The first two are related to the file blame workflow, the file blame API, and the overall controller. Both of these perform quite slowly, and on larger projects, these can actually time out before returning and present some problems. And so we're looking to go ahead and make some significant improvements to these in this particular release. The next item that we're also working on to improve performance is the project's blob controller. This is also one that has been identified to perform badly under load, and we will be working to improve the performance, hopefully to bring it under 500 milliseconds. Right now it is significantly over that. This will help to improve the performance of the overall project homepage load, which is a pretty commonly used workflow. And so this will be a pretty high impact change, and hopefully one that a lot of our users will appreciate. Not only on GitLab.com, where you can see some of these metrics are coming from, but also, of course, our self-managed users will benefit from all of these changes as well. So some three key improvements here for some of our worst performing back-end endpoints. But we're also working on, unrelated to the memory team, additional front-end performance improvements that will likely be applicable across the entire product as we're tackling some of how we structure our JavaScript and other services. And that's also very exciting and will help to improve performance as well. Next up is that we are looking to improve our understanding of how our self-managed customers, their instances are performing. We can get a lot of information from GitLab.com, understand how it's performing, understand where the challenges are, and where we can optimize. But we have very little to no operational insight into how our self-managed instances are performing. And so in many cases, while we're looking at identifying some of these problematic endpoints and understanding opportunities to improve the GitLab performance as a whole, we only have a lot of good data coming from .com. And so we want to try and go ahead and get select metrics from our self-managed customers where we're able to. Of course, you can turn off the instrumentation on GitLab self-managed. And so if you have some concerns, you can turn this off. However, overall, it does help us build a better product. And we are careful about what information we pull back. And overall, it is, again, quite high level. Things like, what is, how many pipelines have run, how many projects have this particular feature turned on. Again, heavily anonymized and mainly about feature usage. And so we like to enhance those and get a little more insight into the operational metrics so we can understand, for example, memory consumption and things like topology. So you can see some of the areas that we're looking to go ahead and be able to pull back. The first one that we want to try and do here is we want to explore adding Prometheus as a data source for the usage ping. Prometheus is how we already instrument many of the operational metrics as part of GitLab. And so when you look at the GitLab dashboard, the GitLab.com public dashboard, that's all coming from Prometheus. And I imagine many of our self-managed administrators today are utilizing Prometheus to, again, understand how their instances are performing. So this content, in many cases, is already being generated by the GitLab application. It's just being generated into Prometheus or another monitoring tool. If we can tap into that, again, in a very controlled way and pull that data into the usage ping, for example, how much memory is it consuming? What nodes are out there? How many are there? How they configured? Does it map up to one of our reference architectures? And so this is all very important information for us, and it'll help us build a better product in the future. And so Prometheus, again, as a source that already has all this stuff, is a great place for us to look at the tapping into, again, and leveraging all that already great instrumentation that's been done, rather than trying to instrument it again in our Ruby code. So this is the first step to try and pull this information in and sort of provide more visibility into this current blind spot we have on self-managed. So this is a pretty key one for us here, this release. We're also looking to provide better instrumentation of what we call our NorthStar metrics or our stage monthly active user metrics. These are actions that our users perform and largely are based off the usage ping today. And what this does is it tells us how many times a user is using a certain feature, right? How many pipelines were created? How many times did you open the MR page? Things like that. And again, not per users, but it can help us give us like unique active users. And so what we'd like to do is to do a better job of reporting the time it takes to complete some of these key actions, right? So if we're saying that that our key way of understanding the usage of our planning stage is to learn how many issues have been created, it'd be very interesting to know how many users are actually, or how long it takes to actually create a new issue, right? And go through that workflow. And so as our teams are looking at prioritizing their backlogs, we can have a better understanding of the overall performance of some of these jobs to be done, rather than some of the components, the controllers, or a certain page load speed, which can give you only a partial picture of the overall performance. So by having an overall idea of the time it takes to complete a job on GitLab, and these particular very important jobs, which our product teams have called out, we can hopefully, again, arm our teams to have more insight into those, that time it takes, and hopefully have better prioritization of the overall performance than sometimes trying to piece together these disparate pictures of performance, which can make it harder to build a case for getting some of these prioritized. So this is focused on hopefully, again, solving that visibility gap for our broader product team and engineering teams, and hopefully solving the long tail of prioritization of performance problems and making sure we are incorporating them into our prioritization matrix at the appropriate place. Finally, we have some further memory optimizations that we're working on, namely that we can likely reduce the amount of memory consumption that Sidekick requires by preloading before forking. So right now we fork very, very early on before we even, I think, start the process. And so effectively little to no memory is actually shared. If we can actually preload Sidekick and then fork, we can actually get a lot of the benefits of shared memory, as you can see here in this updated chart. And this will allow us to save about 300 megs per Sidekick process. And so on larger instances with more background processing Sidekick jobs, this can be a pretty significant savings in memory consumption. And so this is a great way for us to hopefully, again, improve the efficiency of the GitLab application and also just continue to hopefully improve performance as well. And so that's the main topics here for our memory team in 13.1. If you have any questions, you can definitely come find us on the issue tracker. You can find our issues under the group memory label. And please let us know what you think. And of course, open up new issues if you find new performance problems we have identified that you'd like us to work on. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to delivering these in 13.1.